Saygıdeğer konuklarımız, hoş geldiniz. Farware, akıllı dijital gelecek için nesnelerin interneti başlıklı konuşmalarını yapmak üzere Farware Vakfı Operasyonlardan Sorumlu Başkanı Sayın Stefano De Pamfilis'i sahneye davet ediyorum.
Yes. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much for this kind invitation from the organization committee. I am extremely honored to be here in this very prestigious conference. And yes, so I'm a bit also passionate because of this. Also, because there is another funny reason. My name is Stefano De Pamfilis. Even if the Farware Foundation has its headquarters in Berlin, I come from Italy, I come from Roma, but my family name, De Pamfilis, means coming from Pamphylia. And Pamphylia is the ancient name of a Turkish region just north Cyprus. So somehow I'm back home. So let's start with this. What I'm going to talk to you today is about an initiative called Farware. This initiative was born in Europe about, in 2011, although there were many other talks before. And in this initiative, it's a private-public initiative. That means that there were funding coming from the European Commission and funding coming from various companies. And this initiative had a total funding of 500 million. So we are talking about something extremely large and something that nowadays has a strong impact worldwide. You will see in the course of my presentation this element quite strongly. So what I advocate here is that when we have to really think to results that are important, that are strategic, the collaboration between public authorities and the private sector is mandatory. So without that, it's rather difficult to achieve these kind of results that I'm going to talk. At the end of the day, we have an ecosystem of more than 1,000 companies in Europe using this technology. But as I said before, this ecosystem is rather large. So this is the context. What I'm going to talk now is, explaining something that, of course, you all know very well, so I will be rather fast on this. This is the evolution that we have in the history of the industrialization. We are now definitely in the fourth phase, the phase of cyber-physical systems, the phase where everything around us is connected, want to be connected, and allows us to create new things, new services, new industrial perspectives. And in this sector, and in this fourth phase, what is really the engine, the oil of everything, are data. And data is a key factor for the evolution of the economy nowadays. This is true not only for this is true for all kinds of countries. We are not talking about developing countries or developed countries. We are talking about all the countries in the world. Data is really a key success factor for the evolution of the economy. And data need to be, of course, processed. This morning we had many nice speeches. Well, they have been told to me because, of course, I don't understand any Turkish. I'm sorry. But, of course, they have told me. And then people today already mentioned the new technologies that, that are needed in order to further develop our life, our economy in a smarter way. But what does it mean, being smart? It's just a matter of appearance? Maybe, of course, not. We don't know who is the smarter guy here, or is this guy smart, washing a car under a thunderstorm? Well, maybe the guy, of course, might understand that it's raining, so he should know why this is happening, but maybe he has good reasons. So it's very difficult to judge. Why it's very difficult to judge? Because the only thing that really matters is context. Context is the key element. And this is something nothing special. At the end of the day, we all, as human beings, before doing anything, we take information all around from our senses. The 5 senses give us continuous information, and because of those information, we act in a way or in another one. We take some decisions. Of course, there is also the experience. But we continuously take information from the context around us. And this is what we want to do when we speak about smart economies, smart systems, and an economy based on data. When, of course, you are modeling and you want to, we go more in the ICT sector, of course, we cannot model and take care of everything. So in the case of a smart city here, just to make a very simple example, there are only some of the concepts around us that make sense for the system you intend to build. And because of that, you select some concept, in this case, I don't know, shop. And for the context of shop, you have some attributes that you will be further evaluate. The name, the location, what they offer, and so on. So context modeling is nothing more, nothing less of what we normally do. So as human beings, we have some concepts, and these concepts are described in terms of attributes and evaluated them. But what matters, and this is what we have to impose to our systems, is that this information are provided us in real time, and even more than that, at the right time, at the time of taking decisions. This is extremely important. This is a success factor. We don't care about all the information, because if we are analyzing the context around us, we want to know what is exactly happening at this moment, not what was happening 1 hour ago. Maybe it's too late. If I knew that a bus was passing my bus stop 1 hour ago, okay, that's nice, but I need a bus now. So is going to pass or not? So the right time is a critical element when also the system should go. Unfortunately, what happens these days, even having a lot of nice smart applications already implemented in cities, as again, this is an example, for many reasons, it may happen, and it will happen, that every department has its own information system, maybe wonderful information system, but most of the time, the information across the system, they don't flow. And this is a rather pity, because it's sharing the information we think at Fiverr is a clear added value. So in fact, what if there is a standard way, in this case based on APIs, because we are talking about information systems and smart systems, there is a standard way to access the information. Just to make an example. This is the case of a smart parking application. It was initiated in Porto, that is in Portugal. It's the second largest city of Portugal. They, of course, as many cities in the world, they had the problem of parking, and there was, they made a bid, and there was a company that implemented a solution based on fireware technology, but based on context information modeling. And, and in this model, they model certain entities of interest. Then it happened that this solution was also adopted, but in particular the model was also adopted by another city, Santander, which is north of Spain, Ancona, which is in Italy, and other cities, Antwerp in Belgium, and 10 cities, they use the same model. But the interesting element here is that each of these cities, they have different investments to leverage on. For instance, in Porto, they use sensors in the ground. In Santander, they have cameras watching the cities. In Ancona, they have parkimeters, so different things. Anyway, the application use the same context information model. This means that if I am a person living in Ancona, I'm traveling to Porto, with my application, because Porto exposes exactly the same APIs, I will find also a parking slot there. So this is the idea. The idea of having standard APIs, and of course even more standard information models, allows the portability, the easy interoperability of applications across different implementations, and as I said, leveraging on which is the situation. So the entities of the interest are the same, the way they are fed is different. This, of course, creates a lot of opportunities for small enterprises, because these companies that implemented the solution in Porto, then they was able to sell the same solution in other cities. So thanks again to the fact that they use the same standard APIs and the same model. This was extremely important because you act locally, but through this approach, you can think globally. And this is the core of the so-called economy of data, in the sense that not all the data sets, they are open data. So the data, they have a cost. People here, they know that in order to collect data, to store data, to process data, there is a cost to support. So in general, public administrations, they are encouraged by governments to use the data, to make the data available for free, but there is still a need to recover the investments. But there are also an enormous quantity of nice data which are private. They belong to companies, maybe the taxi company or the bus company or whatever, the shops, and so on. But leveraging the various data allows us to increase the value of your own data. Because one thing is nice to know that a bus is passing a certain time at a certain bus stop. Another thing is that you, while traveling in the bus, you are going to know that maybe there is an event nearby, there is a bar making an offering, or a coffee shop, or whatever. So you leverage the fact that this is that. And of course, not necessarily this data are or can be given for free per se, or if they are given for free, they generate value for those who have this data. Of course, there are many issues here to solve from a technical and political issue, so access rights and all of these kind of things, the regulation on privacy and so on. So there are aspects that need to be taken into account. It's not always an easy story. There are technologies for that, but this is the basic concept. And this is what is fireware about. Fireware is about the recreation of a set of technologies which are made available open source for the creation of smart applications. And these technologies are around the context than the notion of context information. This context information is implemented according to a standard, the FIWARE and GSI. It was a standard that was born in the GSMA association, then was taken by us, and now is going to be delivered as a full standard by ETSI, the European Standardization Institute. And together with the notion of the context broker, there are, of course, other technologies that allow the developers to build smart applications. And here it comes. The same slide as before, but with the use of the context broker. So you have a layer that is a context information management layer, where all the data that are in the various silos are described. This means that smart home systems now can access data from a government, for instance, I don't know, taxations or level of cultural level or data from the cities or whatever, in order to even provide better information. Of course, the access of this data is through standard APIs that are the FIWARE and GSI. So the silos are broken. But the silos are broken without destroying them. This is important. When you use FIWARE, you leverage on pre-existing investments. You are not going to say, okay, since you use FIWARE, you have to waste whatever you have done before. No, it's the contrary. FIWARE allows you to leverage those investments and create a more added value. So this is absolutely a key factor. So it's an enabler of new solutions. It's not something that you take or leave. And around the notion of context broker, which is the core of our technologies, there are a set of other technologies for analyzing and the context, of course, providing the visualization, business intelligence. There are technology for the access control of about the data, because, of course, you may give policies so that a person can access a certain data but not another one, and so on. We have created a technology to interface the context broker, of course, with the most popular IoT platform. Actually, we use another important standard here from ETSI that is 1M2M, interface to robotics, and deployment tools to make easier to deploy smart application built based on FIWARE. And using the various, of course, I'm not going to give all the details about this picture because this requires a full seminar. But what is important to say is that this is, at the end of the day, quite standard architecture for a smart application. So you have the source of the systems at the bottom, and then the business system at the top, with a layer that is based on the context broker. And then you see that this architecture can be built through using all the various generic enablers we call the various components of the FIWARE community, the FIWARE technologies. Just let me tell a bit about which is the overall offering. First of all, we have an environment that has data centers, as you can see, almost all over the world, so in all the continents, but Australia. And this is one of the largest distributed federated cloud system based on OpenStack, where people can use the FIWARE technologies for free in order to experiment their solutions, so the use of our technologies. And particularly, it's important, this distribution. Why? Because, of course, we want our user to be always in control where their data are. You know that this element of controlling the data is really very important. From the country where I come from, in Italy, Italy is formed by 19 regions, But the health systems is divided into the 19 regions, and if you are sick in one region that is different from the one where you live, you have to process again all the data because they cannot share the data. This is crazy. This is nonsense, but this is the reality. So the reality is that we as users want to be always in control where our data are. So this is one of the reasons why we have also this distributed version, so that you can have computational power, I don't know in Europe, but the data, they stay in a smart application that is in India, and this is actually the case for some experiments. In the adoption, FIWARE is becoming a standard de facto through two different and important initiatives. One, very recently, in February this year, I'm talking about Chef Digital here, FIWARE became one of the components of the Connecting European Facility, which is an initiative through which the European Commission provides a set of building blocks. At the moment, they are 6. A set of building blocks implementing some standard functionality that are the same all over Europe, and through which the public administration can build their own system, base their own systems. And the context broker is now part of this family. There are, of course, also funding coming from this initiative in order to boost the adoption of these components, but this is rather important. This means that FIWARE is not just a solution there, but it's something adopted at the overall level. The second initiative is the Open Agile Smart City Initiative, where more than 100 cities all over the world, they sign a protocol about using FIWARE in their smart city solutions. At the moment, not all of them, they are using, they are really using FIWARE, they are making experiments, but some of them, several of them, they do it. There is no Turkey at the moment. Maybe next year, if I come back, I would like to see some of the Turkish cities in this list. Would be great. Would be also mean that the work we are doing is useful also here. But it's also, as I said at the beginning, is a real standard in the sense that it's becoming a standard published by ETSI, and also is being considered by NIST, that is the National Institute of Standardization and Technologies of the United States, where FIWARE participates in an initiative of comparing different open platform, open service platform in the context of smart cities, with the idea to identify common element of interoperability between the various platforms. FIWARE was selected also in this list, but there were only 6 platforms, so this is rather relevant work. And just recently, a week ago, we signed a memorandum of understanding with TM Forum. TM Forum is a large organization in the telco domain, where together with them we are creating an initiative where front-runner cities adopting FIWARE, they sit around the table with not only share experiences, but also with the idea to define data models for the context broker, which are these models that I depicted before at the beginning when I said you have to define these entities that are entities of the interest of your context. Of course, FIWARE is there like this, as I show, but there is a roadmap for mid-term and long-term evolution. This roadmap sees some of the current buzzwords to become part of FIWARE, in particular, of course, blockchain, but also artificial intelligence. Artificial intelligence will be extremely important, particularly to create some mechanism through which context information model can, in a semi-automatic way, grow. Because, of course, there are research, and many of you academics know this, that are analyzing the flow of data, the continuous stream of data coming through, and analyzing this data, you may discover some new concept that you were not taking into account. This is an element. Another element is the collaboration we are having on edge computing with the Linux Foundation in order to set up new components where to have more distributed power also at the level of the things. So that. And all of this is supported by the Fire Foundation. I am the chief operating officer of the Fire Foundation. And this foundation was, well, we call foundation, but in fact it's an association. It's a non-profit charitable association under the German law. And it was built 2 years ago, was created 2 years ago, in order to create an independent legal entity able to deliver and deploy promote the adoption of this technology independently from its members, but creating value for everybody. So our idea is, for instance, the work I'm doing here these days is exactly this, so to promote the adoption, and this for the benefit of all, not only for our members. And these are, in fact, the current members of the Fire Foundation. We have about 200 members in just 1 year and a half. There are some large corporations that are the platinum members, which, of course, have a more important role, well, a relevant role, but we have also some gold members. These are companies from everywhere, and cities and academic institutions. The founders of the Fire Foundation were these four, so Atos Engineering in Italy, Orange and Telefonica, and NSC from Japan, they joined March last year. So this is another important recognition of the worldwide approach. So Europe was able to invent something that went beyond, far beyond the European boundaries. So, of course, as any organization, we organize our summits, and this will be next week. So a bit rather short to invite you to come, but of course, if anybody wants to come, this will be great, because it's there you have much more discussions about the evolution of the technologies, experience in discussion about the adoption of those such technologies. So there is an event with about 400, 500 people. This will be in Malaga. And yes, this is FIWARE. So FIWARE is the open, we say, is the open source platform for our smart digital life. Thank you. I'm available for questions. Of course, I have here this, in case you want to make in Turkish, I can. Questions? No? But anyway, I'm here the days, so we can interact during the coffee break and whatever. Thank you.
We have a gift for you.
Thank you.
Bir tane soru var şurada.
Dear sir, thank you for your presentation.
Yes.
I am representative of Huawei in this Congress. I think you know my company. From the last slide of your presentation, I noticed that the sponsorships and also the companies that joined this project are originally European. Is it a kind of strategy that your organization preferred European-based associations or companies, or is it just a union of European?
No.
I don't know how to tell it.
Can you put the slide back?
Sondan ikinci slayta gelebilir miyiz? Orada genelde Avrupa menşeli firmaları ve şeyleri görüyorum. Yani projeye destek olanları. Uzak Doğu'dan veya Japonya'dan veya Kore'den. From Japan, from Korea, from Asia, I don't see any names, any titles in this organization. So is the strategy?
Thank you for the question. Well, NSC is from Japan. Headquarters in Tokyo. Yes, NEC.
Okay.
This is in Japan.
Okay.
Then Mobilepedia is a small and medium enterprise in India. Then the cities actually at the moment are only European, but we have A3 is in Korea, E3 in Hong Kong, OPAF is in Canada, well, this Ireland. I think at the moment this is the situation.
So
but yes,
it's
anyway,
an open
this
source
is
project. We still can join.
of course.
Okay, thank you.
Of course, well, you can join. We are happy if you do. But of course, the technologies, they are available on GitHub for free for be downloaded and used by everybody.
Thank you, sir. Also, for your contact information, we missed the slide. Can it be shown again?
Yes. Another important element, yes, of course, this slide should have been updated because we have now also members from South America. Antel is the telco operator of Uruguay that has a certain leading role in South America. And in fact, last week, 2 weeks ago, sorry, we had a first, let's say, sort of summit, fiber summit outside Europe, and this was, in fact, in Montevideo, replicated the day after in La Plata, Argentina. So, no, we are not, well, we're born in Europe, but we are global, we want to be global. Thank you anyway for your question. More questions?
Başka soru var mı? Sanırım yok. Thank you so much. We have a gift for you.
Wow.
Stefana'ya bir hediyemiz olacak. Hediyelerini takdim etmek üzere Türkiye Bilişim Derneği Yönetim Kurulu üyemiz Sayın Mehmet Ali Yazıcı'yı sahneye davet ediyorum.
Thank you. Yes, sorry, it was my fault. Thank you. The sides maybe here. I think here. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for your invitation. For sure. Thank you.